All right, welcome everybody. I am so excited to see your beautiful faces. So happy you're joining us this evening. My name is Mike DeLuca. I am the host of the Integrative Wellness and Development podcast, and very grateful you're all here tonight. We have a tremendous amount of information to share tonight. We have an absolutely amazing guest, and many of you know her. And if you don't know her, you're going to be real happy to meet her and share the wisdom that and the love that she has to offer. This show, Integrated Wellness and Development Podcast, it's my show. And it really is all about my hunger to know more about how to live a happier, healthier, more prosperous life. And I've been very, very blessed to meet some of the most incredible people in the world in the fields of holistic health, personal development, and a whole variety of other areas. And so that's why we do this show. I do this show because it's a way for me to serve life. It's a way for me to share the gifts that life has given me with you. And I do it because I love you all. I love everyone who comes to this show. I'm grateful for the beings that you are. Feel blessed that I can share this time with you and share the wisdom that not only our guests are going to share, but the wisdom that you bring to the table. Every one of you brings an incredible amount of wisdom and experience and knowledge and excitement of life. So we'll be sharing all of that. This show is not connected with any organization, any group, any thought pattern, any belief system. It's just simply you and I. And we're here together to just share and to serve, serve life, serve each other. And that's it. It's as simple as that. The way the show's going to go, I have a bunch of questions for Susan, and she has a bunch of answers, for those questions and more. And then a little bit later on, we're going to open it up and you'll be able to raise your little golden hand. If you're familiar with Zoom, there is an opportunity where it says react, and there's a little heart on the kind of the bottom right side of the Zoom screen. It says react. If you click on that button, there'll be a raise hand button. When you click that, it'll show a see the golden hand there? That's what'll show up, so I can tell that you're looking to share or ask a question. And so we'll have a specific time for that coming up. So with that, I would like to welcome officially and formally our wonderful guest, Susan Stone, all the way from Montana. Susan, welcome, welcome, welcome to our show. If you would unmute, we're going to have a little bit of an introduction. So, hi, welcome.
Hi, Mike. And it's so wonderful to see everybody who's come on for this podcast. This is wonderful. I know many of you, and my heart is just filled with so much love for all of you and for this opportunity to have this conversation.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that going around today. I can just feel it. And so with that, Susan, I'm just going to share a little bit of a PowerPoint with the folks. For folks who are not as familiar with Susan, there's probably just a couple. Uh, Let me just kind of do this. Yeah, can you all see that? You all see Susan? Yeah. So Susan Stone, all kinds of letters after her name. Each one of them represents an incredible amount of hard work, exploration, training, devotion, service, and love. And very, very grateful you're here, Susan. I'm going to just tell folks a little bit about you, and then we're going to jump right into our discussion. So, besides being the director of the Stone Health Center, the founder of it, Susan Stone is a licensed acupuncturist and senior faculty member for the Eden Method. She's in her 17th year of teaching. She brings to her patients and students an extensive 48 years in holistic health. Yeah. Starting her career in nutrition and dietetics, she gradually added to her repertoire of skills multiple other modalities, driven by the desire to help people heal. In addition to acupuncture and energy medicine, she has trained in and incorporates Lumalight color therapy, the Bach flower remedies, Acutonics, sound healing, and essential oils. Helping people create health and reach their healing goals is her passion. Her unique approach delves into the causative factors of imbalances, and her gentle but laser-like modalities may allow for rapid change to occur. Yes, ma'am.
That about
So
sums it up.
that's just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg. So, Susan, officially, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Thank you, first of all, for all you do every day to bring greater health, light, love, and growth to the world. Just so grateful you're here tonight.
Well, really, it's my joy to be here, Mike. And thank you so much for what you're doing and all the different people that you're bringing out into the world and letting them share. And I'm just really grateful to be able to share what I love most, which is truly helping people heal at the deepest, deepest levels of their beingness. Yeah.
Well, you certainly have helped many people and in many ways. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Tonight's topic was healing through, gaining a higher state of consciousness and a deeper level of love. And we're going to talk a little bit about what those two things have to do with your process of bringing people into higher states of health and well-being. But again, I am a deeply curious person. And the first thing I love to know about people is how did you get started on this journey, right? This
Yeah.
amazing journey.
Yeah, it really has been a lifelong quest, and that's really the way I word it. It's the quest to understand. Um, I was brought up in a Western medicine family. My dad was a doctor. He was the town doctor, and I got to witness him going out on house calls every day, night. He took care of he worked out of multiple hospitals. We had a practice in our home, right inside of our home, and my mother was a nurse. So I was exposed to the devotion of helping people right from the get-go. And one day I was down in my father's office and I asked my father, I said, Daddy, why do people die? And he said, I don't know. I said, why do people get sick? And I said, I don't know. Daddy, but why do some people heal and other people don't? And he said, I don't know. And I must have been about 7 years old. And at that point in time, I mean, I'm relaying this because I remember that as clear as day. And it took a lot of guts to ask my father those questions, I'll tell you, because he was a very pragmatic man. And I knew right then and there, I wanted to figure this out. I really needed to figure this out. And and I really have been guided my whole life, put into situations where the next door would open up. Now you need to learn this, Susan. Now you need to learn that. And I've really followed my whole life this inner guidance in this quest. And sometime in I think it was in my 30s, and I reworded my my quest, and it was I need to understand the truth in healing, the truth. And that's and I've been given dreams, lucid dreams, even waking dreams, spiritual experiences that have been changing my whole perception of reality as to what healing truly is. And what I came
Well,
to understand, yeah, go ahead, Mike, jump in.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm interested in what was the truth you discovered about healing from that.
Yeah, well, what I came to understand is that first, that I am soul and that I don't have a soul.
Got it.
That was one of the key turning points for me in consciousness. And then I came to understand that for me, the truth in healing is to love myself as our Creator loves me.
Yep.
And that in and of itself is a huge step because we create such separation from that knowingness. Even in little teeny itty bitty ways, we don't realize how we are not loving ourselves the way we are truly loved and recognizing that we are the love. I'm going to use the word God. We are the love of God.
Okay.
And I had an experience where, in a contemplation, I actually went back. Now, where I'm assuming, you know, um, you understand reincarnation, but I went back in time into my very first incarnation, being placed on this planet and a physical body. And I had been exited out of, let's say, heaven, out of where I was, which was where all souls were. And boom, there I am in a physical body. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what did I do to deserve this exile? And I felt so ashamed. And what came across my radar screen, my third eye, because I'm having this experience, I mean, it was so lucid, was wow, this is an original sin. This is original shame. And my heart just ached because I realized I've been carrying this burden of never feeling good enough, always feeling like there was something wrong with me, and that I ended up putting myself into very difficult situations in so many different lifetimes where I felt less than. And I didn't love myself. I love myself to a certain extent, but this true essence and knowingness of loving yourself was a huge wake-up call. And I realized this is not original sin. This is original shame. And I'm sharing this with you all right now. And I realized that I ended up, and I'm talking with other people, that they could relate to this deep, deep feeling within inside of themselves of never quite loving themselves truly, fully, unabashedly. I mean, what would it mean for all of us to love ourselves as God loves us and to love as God loves? Because you can't love others until you know this love within yourself. This was a huge, huge realization. And then I also, too, in having this realization that it was my responsibility, not anybody else's. I have the spiritual responsibility of loving myself and loving others at that same measure. Can I do that? Could I do that? To have that humility, to have the awareness, to look into everybody's eyes and say, there you are. I see you. I see that love that you are. Oh, joy, oh, rapture, oh, delight. Yeah. And how can I convey to others for them to see the love that they are? Where's this love going to come from? And I realized the only time we could heal was A, that we could take responsibility. Take responsibility for what we wanted to heal. And to be able to establish within ourselves the state of consciousness where that healing already existed. Because I've talked with Mike before, and many of you have heard me say this, but I felt that all illness is created with a certain state of consciousness. And in order to heal, we can't heal with the same state of consciousness that the illness was manifested with. We have to embody, create, allow, and bring into the richestness of love, thought, and feeling, visualization, good picturization, what that healed state looks like. And I realized that you, soul, already know this. You know what this looks like. You know what it feels like. You've got this in your heart, and you can bring it forth into your current awareness, into your awareness, even if it's baby steps, this healed state. And when you embody this healed state, this vibration begins to find itself coming into fruition in your physical body. It's a step down approach. Your energies are organized around your thoughts and feelings. You are the embodiment of your thoughts and feelings, your beliefs, your habits. That's it in a nutshell.
We often come upon this concept of separation, right? I call it the immaculate misconception that we are separate, right, from the divine. We are separate from the highest states of being. We are separate from our very highest self, and that we're here, and we're here, and it's not out of purpose and love. We're here out of some sort of, if the misnomers about karma, or that karma is a punishment and something you did, but when we start approaching wanting to become whole, when we start approaching wanting to move from separation to connection, right? Then we understand that we are here for a purpose. We are here as a gift. We are here out of love, but we have the freedom to create, right? Ease or dis-ease. And both are opportunities for us to learn and to grow. So could you go into a little deeper how we create health and how we create disease in order for us to learn, grow, and reach a higher state of consciousness and love, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have actually outlined that process. Um, yeah, because it's actually a progression. And I actually have a whiteboard right over here. Do you want me to write on the whiteboard, or you just want me to tell it, Mike?
I think if you could tell it, because we might have
Yeah, it might be not a good visual if I
yeah,
try to
might
write
be
on a
hard to see
whiteboard.
it.
Okay, so this is it. Okay. You, soul, are the thinker of your thoughts, right? You're the thinker of thoughts. So what happens is we have a thought about something. And that thought, we can either let it go or we can establish a feeling around it. And then we begin to identify with a feeling. That feeling then can create an attitude. Now, then we have this attitude. And then we have an attitude that then transcends into a belief. Now you believe your thought, your feeling, and your attitude. And then we start a behavior. That behavior then creates, and going down the line, a habit. This I have outlined is what I believe is this progression. So we establish habits, which then our energies organize around. And if those energies are discordant with love, pure love, the love of knowing who we are as a divine being, then this creates a vibration that then can manifest as an illness, an ache, or a pain. This is a distortion of chi, and as in Oriental medicine, a distortion of chi and blood. And so that's the pattern. And so in order to undo the pattern, it's a matter of recognizing, and you can ask for assistance in divine knowingness and spiritual guidance, but recognizing, when did this begin? What happened in my life? And now this is where you have to take responsibility, because you can't blame anybody else. This is like coming to grips with your karma, but recognizing exactly how you manifested this. I'll give you a really cool example for myself personally. And this actually happened when I was in acupuncture school. Way back when, I decided that I was going to do an assessment and a review of my life. I was reading this book and it said, yes, you need to like look back in your history and write everything down. And I took that literally and I started to beat myself up. And I had a woulda, coulda, shoulda, kick your own butt party. And I kvetched on these things to such an extent, and I didn't realize that I was harming myself, but to the extent where one morning I could not get out of bed. I had polymyalgia neuralgia. I mean, I could not get out of bed. And it was as if my whole body just gave up. And I dragged myself. I was, taking Tylenol, which I found out was hurting my liver. I'm not supposed to take that stuff. But I dragged myself, to classes, and fortunately, one of the Western medicine doctors who was teaching us Western medicine in school was a very wonderful doctor, and I went to visit him. He suggested I take one thing, which I did, and it reversed the situation physically. But I literally saw myself in this cesspool where I had to get myself, claw my way up in consciousness to let go of the woulda, coulda, shoulda, kick my own butt party mode that I put myself in, to heal every part of my history this lifetime that I was thinking it was going to be a good thing to find fault with. But I realized it served no value whatsoever. I needed to move on, let it go, establish the state of consciousness that I wanted to be and hold, and allow myself to erase the past. And when I also too did that, I realized that with my own patients and clientele, when they were complaining about other people and blaming other people, it was like, you know what? Let's just hold this in love, a container of love, and realize that we're all doing the best we can. Everybody is doing the best that they can at the state of consciousness they're at. Cut them slack, love them, give them the space in which for for them so that they can see love as well. So when I look at this truth and healing, Mike, it's like love is it. It is the only path. It is the only path to love ourselves as we truly are. We exist in this fabric. Exist in the divine fabric. Illness is our path to perfection, not there to beat us up. It's to provide us with this opportunity to come into alignment with that which we truly are, the love of God.
I'm really fascinated and feel it's so important to understand that our challenges, our health challenges, are opportunities for growth and that they're actually there to help us. I had a family member who um, discovered that she had breast cancer, and she was somebody who had taken care of everybody in her life. You know, she was a nurse, she was a wife, a mother, a sister, a neighbor, and just gave 110% of herself. And all of a sudden, she discovers she has breast cancer. And one of the things that was so dramatic that she learned um, through, fortunately, having an oncologist who was very open to integrative medicine and was able to have her start out with some integrative modalities in addition to preparations for a lumpectomy. Some of these modalities, she had to have family members and friends participate around the clock in helping her through her treatments. Very, very different for this person, right? The one who's always taking care of everybody to now allow everybody else to start coming to her and helping her. And this was such a realization to her about the need for balance in her life. And that instead of this incredible demon, this cancer, can be thought of, it was a teacher. And as soon as she embraced that, as soon as she welcomed family and friends to help her, the tumor began to dramatically shrink. And the more that she developed a communication with it, the faster it shrunk. And then the lumpectomy was just a little tiny procedure. And I think she only had maybe one radiation treatment just to be sure. And she had a lot of, modalities after that. She later became part of support groups for survivors of cancer. And it just set her on a whole nother mindset. But I bring that up as an example that when we when we need to love more or when we need to receive love more, and we need to come into that balance because I believe that's our purpose. And I believe we're created to receive love and share love. We're created to work together with each other to lift each other higher. So thank you. Your explanations about health healing, about our relationship with disease, the whole karmic, piece of that we bring into our life, these opportunities, and we bring into our life these necessities to learn. But it's here for us to learn and grow. Everything we experience, we first of all, we create it in some way, shape, or form because we need it and we learn from it. So thank you for that. Um,
Yeah. I'd like to share just one more thing. Because there's
yeah, sure.
one portion in here where I find that there's one of the greatest roadblocks into healing. And that is, I'm going to call it the survival of the little self. And people oftentimes will hang on to their, let's say, misfortunes, and they will establish attitudes around the things that have happened to them. And they have a really hard time letting go of them because without that story, they don't know how to survive.
Right.
And this sets up such an energetic quagmire when, if we could just let go of who we think we are and just realize that we are perfect. Soul is in no need of improvement. If we could, and the two tenets I that are my tenets in the adages that I use in my practice are: know thyself, follow your heart, listen to your inner guidance, know that you are the love of God, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. Shakespeare. So those two, and then if we can just let go of the ego, the need to be, the need to have, the need this, da 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 da, and that survival has nothing to do with this outer world. We are eternal beings, and we never have to worry. If we could just tune in, let the love guide us, that which we already are, and to become that which we're here to be. This, like, our curriculum is actually laid out for us. Every lifetime, we have a curriculum that unfolds over our lifetime. I've seen this. Okay, can I tell another dream, another experience that I had? Because this really, I was so blown away by this experience that it literally has changed my life. Okay, so, and this explains the curriculum, but it explains it from a different perspective. So, I was asked at one point to give a talk about gratitude. So I'm taking notes and I'm writing down like the normal things that, we all would know about gratitude. I think this is common knowledge to be grateful, right? But I asked inwardly, I'd like to be shown more about what do I need to know about gratitude? Well, that night in my dream, I was all of a sudden in a very lucid state. And I was seeing myself observing. I was there observing me, standing with my arms stretched out up against a white background. And I was being constructed for this lifetime. I was watching two cloaked figures with a little podium thing in front with papers all laid out. And they were with so much love in this room. This love was beyond anything I had ever experienced before, in inwardly, outwardly, anytime. Certainly not in this dimension. This was an inner dimension love that was. And there was a teacher standing beside me, and I was observing me being constructed. So the easy part was, oh, yeah, she's going to look like this. She's going to have this much athletic ability. She's going to be this smart, all the normal things. But then all of a sudden, this amplitude of love just, And they started arguing. These two monk figures. No, we can't do that to her. She needs to wait. Give her a break. No, no, no. If we don't make it tough enough, she won't grow. We need to make this really hard, but not too hard. So they were arguing about how tough it needed for me to be to grow spiritually. That's why I'm here, to grow spiritually, to learn more about God's love for me. And this toughness, these thorns in my feet, the rocks along the way, are what I felt gratitude for. Because as my curriculum unfolds and the difficult things that I need to go through, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it is, I know that every single moment is custom designed for my spiritual growth. All illnesses, all liabilities, everything is for me. And I am grateful. And now it's up for me to establish what is the attitude that I want to manifest and create in order to heal myself.
You had mentioned that diseases cannot be healed with the same consciousness in which the disease was created. We talked about that at the very, very beginning. And the big question is, what is the consciousness you will need to embody in order to heal? And you came up with 12 tenets of healing. Could we talk about those? And I'll read them one at a time. The
Sure.
first one was healing is about our loving relationship with the divine. I think you've touched on that quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Second, yeah. Second, healing is about self-love and honoring all that you are.
yeah. That's the know thyself.
Exactly, exactly. The third one was healing is about listening and following inner guidance, our own inner guidance. That's quite a change of paradigm,
Yes,
because you think about healing as following somebody else's prescriptions and modalities and techniques and this and that and this and that. But you're talking about the most important thing is listening to our own inner guidance in order to reach that state of healing.
that's right. Yeah, you have to listen to your own inner guidance. And it's great because we have the capacity to ask. We can ask for the inner guidance. Write it down. What is it that you're wanting to heal? I find that writing things down and asking for what it is you want to achieve is a huge first step in the healing process, because when you write it down, you actually bring it into the physical modality. You bring it into the physical body by writing it down. Yeah. And sometimes if you are having a hard time and you're, let's say, over left braining things, what you can do is write your requests with the non-dominant hand, and that taps into the other side of your brain.
Interesting.
Yeah, so sometimes when I feel like I'm getting stuck, I'll start writing with my left hand. Messy, but it works. And then, because then it's like I'm switching off, the same old things yeah, because see, the mind doesn't know the healed state. That's interesting. If the mind knew what healing was, then you would have already been healed. You've already done what you've needed to do. So we have to gain access. We have to allow for the transmission of this deeper embodiment of knowingness, and know it that it's always tapping into a higher level and acceptance of love. This is it. It's always about love. Make it about love. That's, it's like, then in that state of love, then you can be guided to, well, maybe I need to go see this person or look for the signs. I'll never forget. I've had a lot of, really interesting health challenges. Years ago, all of a sudden, I developed pericarditis. And I felt I'm not long for this planet. And I was in my 30s. And I knew, just no, you're not going to go to a hospital. And I wasn't anywhere near home, so I couldn't call my parents and say, my dad, or just, like walk into the office. I was on the other side of the United States. And so I did a contemplation and I asked for divine guidance. What do I need to do? And back then we had the yellow pages, right? I think most people on this call are familiar with the yellow pages. So I literally held the telephone book to my heart and I say, I need divine guidance here. What is it that I need to do in order to heal this pericarditis? Because this was like, and this is me going to bed that night with my heart racing at about 180 beats a minute nonstop. I could barely sleep and I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning. And I opened up the yellow pages and I put my finger on an acupuncturist. No coincidence. So I called that woman's office. I went there and in one treatment, and she was using lasers, these big gigantic lasers that were on tripods. In one treatment, I was 80% better. 80% better. And I was scheduled to go to Paris in 4 days. And I was able to go as long as I didn't carry my own suitcase. That was amazing. That was amazing. So we open up ourselves to the knowingness, to being shown with love. And then I realized too that I also needed to go through the process of healing that which had hurt my heart so much. So I also worked on the other level of healing myself. And then I think sometimes too, I mean, there are times when we want to tackle healing something, and other times we don't want to tackle healing. We're like, I will live with this infirmity, and that's okay until we're ready. And there are no rules. It's just, yeah, because the physical body takes the toll of the spiritual lessons, doesn't it? And that's all right. It's all right. We don't have to heal everything, but we certainly can heal our hearts. And we can certainly open our hearts to the knowingness of the love that we are. So you were going next tenet. I got sidetracked, Mike.
That's all right. Next tenet, healing is about gratitude and appreciation for the lessons of the illness. Talked about that. Healing, number 5, healing is about asking for and accepting the gift of health. That's a big one.
That's another big one. Okay, so I had another experience about accepting. Okay, so this is a really cool dream experience. I have a lot of very interesting things happen in my dream states. So one night, all of a sudden, I'm in a room that's very familiar to me. It was actually the dining room in the home that I last lived in Massachusetts in Southborough. It was the family home. And there was a being in this room who was obviously a spiritual master. I mean, the presence was overwhelming. The vibration was so pure. The frequency, the love, the emanations were so amazing. And I had just, in this dream, I had just been teaching a class, which was in my office, which was attached to the house, because I took over my father's, where my father had his practice for 50 years. I took over his space when I moved back to Massachusetts and had my acupuncture practice there in Southborough. So anyways, we had these group of women, we had this class, we'd walked upstairs and this master was there. And this woman was standing there and her earring was like wrapped up around her hair and it was like all disheveled. And he walked up to her and he said, "Your earring needs some assistance here. Do you want some help?" There's, "Do you want some help?" And she said yes. And very gently, lovingly, she accepted this help. And this love that she accepted in that simple gesture, I could see her energies change in front of me. He went on. He went around the room and he went to another woman. She had, I can't remember what was going on with her, but he asked her, "Would you like some help with this?" She opened up her heart. She accepted this love and this help. She was transformed. So I'm just walking beside this master who's taking care of people like I've never seen. And all of a sudden, we're in front of this beautiful buffet of chocolate cupcakes. And I step back, and everybody's diving in and eating these cupcakes. And he said, he looked at me, he said, "You're not having any?" And I said, "Oh no, I can't eat something like that." And he looked at me, he said, "But would you like to?" Huh. Well, yes, I would love to eat a chocolate cupcake. He took his finger and he put it right on a point on my abdomen. And for Barbara, who's on this call, it was CV12. And those of you who know this point, it's the alarm point for stomach. And all of a sudden, I felt this amazing energy enter into my body. And I could feel this love going into my digestive system. And it was like, wow, I have to accept this healing. I have to be willing to accept this love. Without the state of acceptance, it would not have happened. This higher level and a shift in consciousness needed to accompany that. That was an amazing experience. It taught me so much about acceptance.
That is so powerful, Susan. Thank you so much. Oof.
Well, you know, Mike, I've not come to these realizations and what I'm sharing with everybody without these experiences, trials, and tribulations, and walking this path myself. How could I understand the suffering and this journey if I hadn't traveled this myself?
Exactly. Exactly. That's an important point to bring up, and that is, I've discovered for myself many of the things we go through our challenges, whether they're physical challenges, emotional challenges, relationship challenges. Life is full of challenges. And when we're going through them, we sometimes feel so alone that we're the only ones in the universe going through this. And I found the reality is when we are going through our most challenging moments, we're not going through them just for ourselves, that we are going through them, and then the healing, the wisdom, the realizations we come out of that with are transmitted to the entire universe. And every single being is benefiting from what we are going through, regardless of the outcome.
Mm.
Our journey through our challenges, our journey through our illnesses are lighting a path for billions of beings who will never know. Because again, we're all connected, right? We're all
Yes,
connected
I
in
know.
that.
I see this large, like universal fabric. It's like we're all a part of the fabric of the divine, this fabric of love. And it's just like when we shift, the fabric ripples. And it ripples through all space and time and all dimensions. All dimensions. Yeah. The healing isn't just in this physical realm. It exists simultaneously through all space and time and all dimensions.
And
And
in
I've experienced that too. I've watched
yes,
that. I've been shown that ripple effect
yeah.
in other bodies.
And I think that alone can be a tremendous gift to, I'm sure, your clients, and the people that you've touched and worked with. Um, but it's an inspiration for all of us, and I think it brings hope and a sense of purpose that the most difficult things we go through are not just for the growth we will have, and we will grow, right? But it's for the growth of others. And then comes the next step, and that is it's about letting go. But once we've gained the realization, the knowledge, the wisdom, and made the changes that are needed to be made in our lives, in our paradigms, and in our beliefs, and in the level of love we accept and give, we have to let it go, right?
We absolutely have to let it go. And that's why I am the observer of consciousness.
Mm.
I am the observer of my mind. And that's what I try to inspire people who work with me to do is that to realize that you are the thinker of the thought, but you're not your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. So to be the observer, you soul, observing the mental landscape, the emotional landscape, and making the conscious decision, is this really what I want to be thinking? Is this really what I want to do with what's going on in here or what's going on in here? Is this good for me? Is this purifying me or is it polluting me? And what's so fascinating is this, and I'll just share this. This is just a little Oriental medicine tidbit. Our heart is a yin organ. Okay, I hope this doesn't get too complicated, but our heart is a yin organ. It has a yang counterpart, and that is small intestine. Small intestine. Now, small intestine's job is to be the executive secretary for heart, but it's also to the screener, sits out in the outer office. I'm not going to let that get to heart. Does not need that. So it is the screener. So it is is this good for heart or is this not good for heart? So when we overload our body, physically, emotionally, mentally, small intestines got, you're giving small intestine maybe a lot more than it can handle. So we have to think about how's our digestion actually doing? Do I really need to be thinking about this thought? Is this something that I want to burden small intestine with this purification or pollution. How about if I just say, I am going to be the observer and not allow any of that stuff that I know that heart does not want to have to cope with, nor does small intestine want to have to cope with. I'm going to make the conscious decision right here and now. That's not going to be a part of my repertoire. Conscious decision. Does it purify or pollute? Because you're going to have to, small intestine's going to have to like be there in the inner chamber of the heart. And you know the heart doesn't want to be taking that brunt. Says one who also too had pericarditis, right? So pericardium and this other energy called triple warmer are also there in the realm of the heart, in the mansion, in the inner mansion.
Mm.
And they play roles as well. So, I mean, I look at this from multiple different perspectives as to what's going on here at the deepest level of how can we create a healed state? So what's the next tenant?
You led into it perfectly. How can we create the healed state? The next tenet is healing is about holding steadfastly to the vision of the healed body. And this is so important. And we talk about this a great deal on this show. And that is, you know, the illusion that time is sequential, that I am here and, I have these things going on in my body and I have these challenges and I don't know if I'm ever going to, be able to heal that or surpass that or whatever. And yet simultaneously, there is a me, right? There is a me at another level of consciousness, another dimension, another reality that is not only healed, but is living a life of perfection in health and love and spirituality. So you're talking about part of the healing process is to embrace that part of us that is already healthy and
And that is enough. You're
and
already enough. There is
yes,
no inadequacy. There is
that
no
is,
inadequacy.
yeah,
But it's also too making that adequacy not part of the ego, but
yes,
the recognition of your divine nature. You are the love of God. Be that, know that, feel that. And just any other things that come in or trying to sabotage that, just let those go. I mean, and I know this is not easy because I've dealt with those. Who hasn't dealt with those demons of inadequacy? Wow, boy, do they sabotage. You know, it just doesn't serve any purpose at all. We have to hold steadfastly to that healed state because in doing so, with love, with that beautiful attitude of acceptance and gratitude, then the energies can organize around that. And when the energies organize around that, then there's the potential. Thy will be done. Thy will be done for the physical body to come into a greater state of health. Because sometimes we don't know the full purpose of, let's say, an unhealthy state. And this is where I see this difference between I can be healed. I can be fully healed. My heart is healed, but my health could be lagging because the physical body, I mean, going through a lifetime, you know, it takes its toll, We all know that. This is not easy.
yeah. Now you actually covered like three more tenets. Right? Healing is about surrendering to the divine. It's about giving and receiving love, forgiving and accepting and giving the blessings. It's about opening up and shifting to a new state of consciousness, everything you just talked about. It's about acceptance of all that presents itself, right? And it's about understanding the purpose of the illness before we can surrender it. By the way, all of these tenets I just put in the chat. So, folks, if you go to the chat, all of those are there and you can copy and paste those tenants. Also, they're on my Facebook page. If you're a Facebook, member with me on my Facebook page, Facebook friend, they're on my Facebook page. I put them in the announcement. And you'll have the opportunity to see those tenants. And if you don't have them and want them, or if you would like to receive information on the um, link for the replay of this, in case you came late, if you want to just send me a quick email, your yourninesteps, your 9steps at gmail.com, or just contact Susan and through Susan, I will get these tenants to you and the links. Susan, at this point, we're at the point in our show where it's time to open up for the questions and comments from the audience. You folks have been patient for a whole hour, and I know that you came here, you want to talk to Susan. So if you would please use your golden hand for those on Zoom, if you click the little button that says react on the bottom right of these Zoom screen, and you'll see a little thing that says raise hand. If you do that, you'll raise that golden hand. All right, you already know this stuff. And Virginia, you are the first one to raise the hand. So we'll start with you, Virginia.
Um, yes, thank you so much. So I have an autoimmune condition, been healthy, most of my life. And the medical profession only says you have to treat the symptoms. And I'm asking, where is this stemming from? But I am going to seek neuropathic college, actually, here. I live in San Diego, to get more information. But on your tenants here, when do you know that you have shifted after you accept what you're going through and you love it and you ask for guidance and you go in the inner, but then apparently at some point you want to say bye-bye to it, right? So when does that actually happen? I'm curious.
Well, when you're dealing with an autoimmune illness, Virginia, it can happen. I mean, it might be helpful to actually talk more deeply at another time. But um, I find that the illness can disappear when you've kind of gotten in touch with the reason why it happened or how it was created. And you can go back in time as to when it originated and when those thoughts and feelings or your those thoughts and feelings and the reactions that you've had in life are no longer there. They're actually gone. It's as if that part of your life is, it because you can feel it, it's completely healed. And, just in my practice, I work very energetically and I actually, with a hands-on approach, ask the person's their bodies, what is it that's holding them back? What is the energy sometimes that gets stuck? And I help facilitate the process of energies getting unstuck. So when I'm working with somebody like you who have had something for a long period of time, there's a lot more research that I do. I mean, I energy check for whether they're bacteria, viruses, other kinds of physical agents that chemicals or toxicities that may have been holding your body back from being able to heal. So you are talking about I'm investigating. I am a forensic practitioner. I mean, super forensic. I try to go down to the deepest levels of trying to uncover the causative factors of why a person and like track your history. I go back to sometimes things come through from former lifetimes and brought into the physical. It's like you just don't know where you're going
Mhm.
or
Okay.
when you're really looking at healing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I don't know if that helped much, but we can talk some more. We can talk some more.
Yeah,
Susan. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you, Virginia. Yeah, and I want to bring up a point. I'm required by law to give a disclaimer. This show and the conversations we're having with Susan tonight, in no way, shape, or form do we make the claim that we are diagnosing, treating, or preventing illnesses. The purpose of tonight is to share information, right? It's all about education. However, if you choose to engage with someone and you are encouraged to engage trained practitioner in order to facilitate the process of, moving through your condition. If you choose to engage with Susan, the Stone Health Center is stonehealthcenter.com, easy to remember. And you can get in touch with her through her website, stonehealthcenter.com. Easy as that. But again, I'm by law, I must say that, our conversation is not going to magically and mystically tonight, you know, now you're healed. That's not going to happen. Oh, and I don't know. I can't predict what's going to happen, but the very fact that we are opening ourselves up to wisdom, to love, and to the opportunity to have greater freedom about our health, that in itself is a gift and a step forward. So thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Susan. Marie, you've been very patient. Thank you for raising your golden hand. Thank you for being here. What
Thank
is your question?
thank you both. This has been so extraordinary. Um, and I understand that our consciousness affects our health. Um, I'm finding just an additional level of stress that I've never had to deal with before, and probably most Americans, which is a lot of like loss of our freedoms and changes in our government. And I know, just different people moving out of the country. How do you deal with like larger stressors that we have little control over, and how do we hold like a healing consciousness around that?
That's really a great question, Marie, and I understand why you're concerned. I find that I focus on the inner part of myself that I have control over. I have no control over what's going on in what's out there, what's and how it's being portrayed. But I do have control over my own inner worlds. And my inner world is my reality. I love nature. I have my rose garden. I have, I can go out and I can walk. I can just look outside and I look for beauty. So I focus on the love. I focus on the beauty. I put my attention on that which I know to be true, not what anybody else tells me. I don't let outside influences affect my reality at all, not one iota. And that's what keeps me in balance, is that I take responsibility for what I can be responsible for. And that's my inner worlds and the love that I am and that I have the capacity to love. I hope
Thank
that helps.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you both for this.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Very, very welcome. Very, very welcome. And yet you brought up such an important point, Susan, and that is we have the opportunity, the ability, and really the responsibility to choose whether we act in a certain way that will promote our growth and our healing, or react to all of the different situations. And it's natural, it's a natural thing, but we've been empowered to choose what we focus on, what we think about, how we feel about something, and whether we want to act in a constructive, proactive way or react, right? And that comes into the victim consciousness and the feeling of disempowerment.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose how
Yeah.
we, right, how we act in
Yeah.
our
And,
state of
victims, this is a harsh statement maybe for some people to hear, but victims don't heal. They stay
no,
victims.
yeah,
And that's just, and what's also interesting is that there are certain energetic issues that show up with people that get caught up in outer realities or perceive the world as being somehow not good. There are certain energetic illnesses that will manifest if someone is constantly at the effect of what's out there,
everything.
everything. Yeah. Unless they're pulling in beauty, love. That that is good. Focus on the love. Aurora.
Yeah.
Aurora has a question.
Yay, Aurora.
Yes, hello. I was kind of late because I wasn't aware the hour. So I joined when you start talking or when you already talk about cancer because 3 months ago they found, or the doctor was telling me I have cancer in the breast. And I asked myself, what is the solution for this situation? But it's kind of different for me to understand what is trying to teach me, because I was looking everywhere. I've been trying natural stuff, and I've been putting attention in the inner, and I feel like this is not mine. It's kind of strange. So when I was asking about certain doctors, I have a dream, and my dream, it was I was talking to a lady, and then we went to the backyard, but I saw a dog in the left side, so in the right side, it was a bull. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I don't like this. And I was telling the lady, tell them to leave because I'm scared. I don't like these kind of animals. They don't harm me, but I believe I was in the wrong direction. So when I woke up, I know what I have to do. But like I say, I've been taking a lot of natural stuff. But the doctor was telling me, okay, on the 10th, you have to come and we're gonna remove the breast. And I said, oh my God. Okay, I surrender and I accept what is the experience in this moment? I accept it because obviously I have to learn something and I have to share with other people what it was my experience being with the divine spirit.
You know, Aurora, it's wonderful the experience that you're going through and the fact that you're gaining so much love from it. And I've always felt that no matter what the outcome is, no matter what, with any challenge that we go through, physical or any kind of challenge we go through in life, it's always perfect. We're always taken care of. We are always loved and we're always okay. And it's wonderful how that you're traveling this journey right now with so much love and openness for divine guidance and that it's perfect. It's all good. And I'm so
Thank you.
happy. I'm so happy for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Roseanne, you have a question?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Actually, it's more of a comment than a question, but I wanted to know what you thought. For me, it's about divine love and not human love. And we're in a human body, and sometimes, it's actually I think it's impossible to get rid of our human emotions and human people, who we are as a human being. But I think it's just important to say it's about divine love.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what we're talking about. It is all about divine love. And I actually think of it as I am a spiritual being, and this is a spiritual experience. And keep focusing on the truth of who I am and the goal of consciousness that I'm wanting to embody this lifetime. Because I know that in any challenge, that focusing on the love, the divine love, is what gives us the highest path forward.
And we don't want to negate those other parts of us because they are all very important. And also, it's important to deal with each part of ourselves because they are all integrated in the process of healing. So we have a mind, right? It's important we engage that mind with love. And there are things that happen in holistic treatments and traditional treatments that are very helpful for the mind. We engage our memory, we engage our emotions, we engage our physical body. Healing is happening on every single one of those levels. And there are particular modalities that are more helpful than others in your individual particular case that will be employed as part of the healing. Right? So we're talking at a very, very high level here of consciousness and love and acceptance. But we also need to do the work with, you know, um, qualified practitioners to work with those bodies, work with the physical, work with the emotional, right? Work with our memory, work with our minds in order to have integration and completeness that brings health, right? Health is an aspect of integration and connection, right? So great points you brought up, Rosanna. I appreciate your point. And Susan, do you want to add anything to that?
No, that was great, Mike. Wonderful.
Sometimes I scare myself.
It's not Halloween. It's okay.
Roseanne, thank you.
Mm.
Okay, who's next? Who's next? I wanted to make a point also. Aurora brought up a point. Tonight we have quite the mixture of people from different geographies, from different belief systems, both religious, spiritual, philosophical. You might hear terminologies We might call us an angel, a master, a guide. There's all kinds of words, right, that are used in particular, systems. This show does not represent any particular system or belief, right? Because there's a lot of different ones here tonight. So go with what you believe with. Go with the terms that you resonate with. And, it all works. It all works. We're not trying to promote any one particular viewpoint or word or terminology. Go with what you are comfortable with and are using. So I wanted to make that point. Thank you. Who
Thank you.
else? No, you're very welcome. Who else has something they wanted to ask? Well, then it's my turn. So, Susan, we talked earlier about acupuncture. We talked about light therapy. We talked about energy medicine. We talked about Bach flower treatments. We talked about all kinds of modalities you employ. Can you tell us about how do people engage with you to begin that healing journey? How do they work with you? How do they get in touch with you? What is your process?
Well, I'm a big telephone person. Give me a call.
Great.
I mean, people can reach out to me and email me, and then I'll email them back and say, "What's your phone number?" Because I love chatting because it's more of a give and take, having a conversation. And then obviously I live in Montana, so the population density is not the same as it is having been on the East Coast. So my husband Ryan and I have set up our home so that the whole lower level is a place for people to come and have healing retreats. Um, that is my absolute favorite way of working with people is concentrated, dedicated, no outside interference, one-on-one opportunity so that we can really hone in on what a person's really needing so that they can gain the greatest amount of traction with the time that we have together. And I actually see several people who are on this call that have actually visited, and we've gotten to spend some amazing, loving time together. And what I want to emphasize is that everybody creates their own healing. And I don't heal people, but I help the facilitation process. And as I said, I'm very, very forensic. I really try to uncover where the roadblocks are and what, with the help of that person, because it's like they are presenting through their understanding of where they've been in their life, where they see the blips have occurred in consciousness and physically, so that we can go back and trace and then reimagine a healthier state, a healed state of consciousness and a healthier body. So sometimes people come and stay for 3, 4, 5 days. I've had people fly in from other side of the world and have stayed for 9 days because time differences and really focusing in on what's going to be of help. But I mean, people who are on this call, they can speak to their time here and what it's been like and how it's not for me to say that time with me is of value. That is in the eyes of and in the hearts of the people who have come here. So I am very humbled that the fact that people even fly in here and they give me the opportunity to be of service. That means more to me than anything, is that I get to serve the divine through them.
I'm gonna put up on the screen here.
That's an
If you,
old picture of me. And my
yeah, but
husband Ryan.
I
When he
like,
had a mustache.
I like those pictures. I picked them out because I like them. Um,
That's
so
sweet.
stonehealthcenter.com, real simple. If you go there, you'll find out how to get in contact with Susan. There's a phone number there too. And if you feel moved, as I have, because my wife and I are flying out to spend a week with Susan and Ryan to deal with some of the things we're dealing with. And I'm very, very interested in physically seeing and experiencing what we've been talking about tonight. And I encourage you, if you feel a connection tonight and you feel you want to explore this and make your own personal, journey, go to stonehealthcenter.com, give her a call, give Susan a call, check with your heart, check with your soul, check with everything. And if you feel a connection there and that this might be a direction to help you on your journey of healing, your journey of personal growth, spiritual growth, um, go for it. Again, I don't sell anything on this show. I don't direct people to do anything they don't want to do, but I share with you my investigations, and when I come back, I'll be sharing with you what I experienced and what my wife experienced, and we'll let you know. We do have another golden hand from an incredibly golden heart. Mr. Gardner Tucker, would you unmute and share with us your
You got to
question?
show your face, G.
Ah,
Hello.
very handsome face,
Oh,
too.
I haven't
Why,
seen you in
thank you.
ages.
It's all the healing that's been happening. Hey, so my question is, how does humor, what's the role of humor in healing?
Gee,
Wow.
I think humor is lightheartedness. And I think anything that brings the heart into a state of lightness obviously helps people heal. Who was it that wrote that book back in, oh my gosh, it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s, and it was a doctor. And I went and saw him. He came to Maine. I was living in Maine at the time. And it was all about laughter.
Mm,
Was it laughter's the best medicine? No, that's another phrase. But
yeah.
there was a doctor who basically was very ill, and he sat down in front of the TV, and all he watched was comedy shows. And that's
Oh,
how,
yes. I
yeah,
remember that. Yes.
yes. And he healed himself. I think that's so great. Well, see, lightheartedness, right?
Mhm. That's a great link. Thanks. It's good seeing you all.
Oh, it's great to see you, G.
Great to see you, G. Yeah, I mean, there's actually been university studies now about what laughter and humor does to our biochemistry, as well as our emotional outlook, and also, the whole integrated self. Laughter, love, joy. If we spend more time doing that, right, than doing other things that, as Susan said, we can choose to pollute or purify. Laughter is a great purifier. And it's, again, it's taking control of what we allow through the doors of our consciousness. And we are the guardians of the door to our consciousness. And so we have the ability to choose the experiences that we have, the thoughts, the feelings, and what comes through that door. We have the ability to choose that. And I highly recommend taking advantage of that superpower of choice, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Who else? Anyone else? Virginia. One more time. Virginia.
So I hear what you're saying. We have the choice. So yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts as well, Susan, and I went to Catholic school. And although I had a fun time in school, a lot of things kind of leaked to make me have a habit of not really, taking myself loving myself as much as I could, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But these are more like it's more like a habit that I've been chiseling through. And I'm sure that, you know, helps in the health way, health, you know, my health, my mental health, and my spirituality. So when we have the choice, it's kind of a cloudy area sometimes.
Virginia, what do you mean by a choice? Because I'm not sure, because you can, I mean, if you are thinking a positive thought about yourself and you're loving yourself,
Right.
you're making a choice.
Right. Yeah. But when things come into my life, you know, that choice, like, for instance, I'm listening to the doctors because everybody I know where I live loves the doctors and all this, but I know that they're not answering my complete questions. So, you know, I had that choice to say no, but I still want to use them. So it's kind of, you know, back and forth.
You know what? You're always making the right decision, Virginia. I
Yeah.
know that you are always making the right decision, because there's no other path than the one that you're on. Just hold it in love and just realize that no matter what,
It's the right,
whatever's occurring is, and just always keep the positive attitude.
right.
Just
Okay.
And there's always a benefit to adding to your toolbox,
mm,
right?
Yeah.
To adding other voices, other expertise, other helpers to your team, right? So if
Right.
the team you're working with is not working for you in your particular lessons that you are needing to learn and go through, add some more members to your team, because there is a multitude of people like Susan and others who are ready to help, and just keep adding to your team. But I want to echo what Susan said. Each of us is walking our own individual road through life. Yet we're all walking it together and we're all connected, but your road is your road, my road is my road, her road is her road, because the necessity of our experiences are different. But we have the choice of how we walk the road and how we allow the road to walk us, right?
Mhm.
It can either walk with us or it can walk over us. You know, we have the ability to choose that experience and choose who helps us, and so you know, use that choice. Thank you, Virginia. Barbara, did you have something you wanted to say? Because your hand was raised.
Had to unmute. The first of all, it was Norman Cousins who wrote Anatomy that allows for perceiving. Let's see here. Anatomy of illness as perceived by the patient in positive attitudes. And he was a journalist and a professor.
okay.
Just wanted to share that with anybody who was interested.
Thanks for looking that up.
Great to go back to old books. You know, very often I go back to we cause our own illness. Anyway, I do believe in what you're saying. And I also would like to just add, and it happened to me this weekend, where I went to a grandchild's graduation and I meet someone for the first time. And somehow they sent me a message, the spirit sent me the message that I was supposed to teach them something. And she had an 8th grade daughter, gorgeous girl. And my daughter has a labyrinth in her backyard. And I was talking about the labyrinth, and I said to her, have you ever experienced that? Well, to make a long story short, I took them through the labyrinth and explained how you talk to the energy of the universe, and that the universe is within you, and so on. And you start with a question and you walk the labyrinth repeating this question, and you will get an answer. and just go with your gut. That's the bottom line, because this eighth grader was so thrilled with the message she got. And it's divine love.
That's beautiful, Barbara. That is absolutely amazing. I am so happy that you're on this call.
Me too. Me too. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah. Healing is more broad than just our physical self and our emotional self and our mental self, but also we go through periods of illness in our relationships with others, right? And I'm talking about all of the people that we are surrounded with and interact with on a daily basis. And, sometimes some of that may manifest in um, situations where someone is seen as a protagonist, an enemy. Someone is angry at us or hating us or attacking us or whatever. And that's still part of the health and healing process, right? It's just a different aspect of our health and our life, but our relationships with other people require the same attention that Susan has been sharing and the same tenets of healing that are in the chat and that are on Susan's website and also on my Facebook page. And I think that's important because that affects us physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, our interaction with others and can affect our health. Susan, you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yes, I think one of the interesting components of that is that we don't need to be at the effect of others. If we are strong, let's say, solid in the love within ourselves. One of the things that I've learned is that our auric field cannot be pierced from without. It's pierced from within. So when I'm feeling an outside influence, I have to take responsibility for where my mind has been or where my heart has been and clean up my own act so that I'm not at the effect of other people. And a lot of times, what I do in order to correct that is I'll go deep into my heart center and I generate divine love. I see my heart as a generator. And I take this love and I just and it goes out into my field. And I do a cleanup act. And I make sure that it goes out. And then I go within and I take a look at every single cell in my body. And I recalibrate down to every atom in my body with love and light and vibration, the highest state that I can imagine. And sometimes I'll do this outside and I'll pull in energy, but it's a melding of energy from within and from without. It's like if I'm physically exhausted, I'll bring the energy in from the atmosphere and revitalize myself completely. And then, but if I feel something that's not mine, that's when I send the energy out from my heart and I clear up my field. Because I don't want to be at the effect. Why would I want to allow anything into my field, into my energies that is not of the highest? But if it does happen, and of course it happens, it's because I've created the leak with my negative thought and allowed for that vibration to come in. And then as soon as I become aware of it, get it out. Just it's housekeeping. It's consciousness, physical, mental, everything. It's housekeeping. And I got to take care of my own house.
And just like an illness is there to teach us something about ourselves, those individuals in our lives who might be creating challenges for us, there are gifts in there and opportunities for us to learn about ourselves and also to learn to face that situation from a higher state of consciousness and a higher, deeper level of love. Because nothing can withstand the power of love and gratitude. You know, there's nothing.
One final story, because I know we've been on for a while, maybe not final story, but when I had COVID, it was amazing. I had it a couple of times, and both times I welcomed it. I actually saw the entity of COVID and had a conversation with it. And what it did is that I was feeling really, really sick, right? But I'm there, okay, what have you got to teach me? What are you here to let me know that I don't know? And it literally traveled to different parts of my physical body and created pain. And I stopped it at each site where it was giving me a difficult time. And I said, what is it that I need to do in order to heal this part of my body? And I laid in bed for 12 hours and tracked its movement throughout my body and energy tested and did points, acupuncture, different points on myself and cleared the old vestiges of things that COVID was bringing my attention to in order to help me heal at a higher level. And then 12 hours, seriously, it was intense. I did not stop working with this energy of COVID until it completely cleared. And then I felt fine. I had a little bit of tiredness, but I was basically done. And then it came back again. So we went through the whole thing again. But it was the second time around, it was very little, very little. But it was fascinating working with it, not fighting it. Why are you here? What are you here to teach me? How can I learn from you? Because remember, everything is of the divine. Everything, everything, even the negative. Teach me about love.
That is so powerful. Yeah, and it's so important that we ask that question, right? Of everything that comes into our life, our space, right? Because everything and everyone who comes into our life and space is there to teach us and also learn from us, right? If we are giving love and we are giving gratitude, if we are giving consciousness to a situation or a person, that is a gift we give, that is a gift we receive. They give, they receive, and both of us, whether it's an individual or a manifested condition, we all become the gift. We are the gift that we give, the gift we receive, and we are the gift itself,
You
right?
know, I love that, Mike. I just love the way you see the universality
Yes.
of the healing journey.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. It's all connected. Yeah. And we never have to feel separated. We never have to feel excluded. We never have to feel not good enough, smart enough, spiritual enough, holy enough, rich enough, handsome enough, beautiful enough. We don't ever have to feel not enough because we are enough. We are created that way. And we just need reminders and we need opportunities to relearn that and practice it and share it and grow in that. That's why we're here tonight. That's why we have this show. That's why Susan does what she does. That's why I do what I do. Um, and that is part of the gift that we've all been given. Yeah.
And there's so many people here on this call that do this as well.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I want to mention again a couple of things. We have a number of people who are just joining us, whether there's time differences or whatever. If you've missed, any part of this interview, if you are a Facebook friend of mine, it's on my Facebook page. If you'd like to be given the link for the replay, which will be on my YouTube channel, you can either contact Susan if you are a colleague or a connection to Susan, and she will send you that link. If you want to contact me, my email address is yourninesteps@gmail.com. I will put that in the chat. And we will get you the link to the replay, which will be on my YouTube channel. Wow, time flies. Time flies. I am so grateful not only that you all came here tonight, that you've stayed almost 2 hours. Your time is very, very precious. Susan, your time is very, very precious. Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, Susan, thank you so much. Just see where the noise is here. Okay.
Interfere all the time.
So, folks, are there any other questions before we wrap up for tonight, or any comments you want to make? If they could be short, we are running a little bit late. Anything else?
Mike, this is Al DiLiberto. I just want to tell you, we can't copy anything out of the chat box. I've been
Okay.
trying to copy the list.
That's
For
okay.
something is holding us back from doing that.
Huh. Okay. Al, I have it already posted on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And so you all will be able to see that if you're a Facebook friend of mine. If you're not, folks, if you send me, either send Susan a request for them, or just go to stonehealthcenter.com, and it's right there on her website, or just send a message to Susan and she'll send it to you. Send me a message at your9steps.com. I'll send it to you. But we'll get it to you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Or take a picture of the chat with your phone. Yeah. Take a picture of it with your phone. You can do that too. Okay. Great. All right, folks. It's that time. We could go on forever, but it's getting late. You all have things to do, people to take care of, things to take care of. We hope that we've taken care of you tonight. We've served you. That's why we do what we do. And many of you, that's why you do what you do. I want to thank you for being here tonight. It's not just something you've done for yourself, but by being here tonight, your wisdom pool has grown. And everyone in the world you touch, whether consciously or unconsciously, is going to benefit from what you've received tonight and what you've taken and what Susan has given tonight, what you've all shared tonight. So I want to thank you in advance for the sharing you will do that will uplift not only yourself, but others. Thank you for the light that you are, Susan. Thank you for the light you all are out there. That light is precious, it's needed, it's appreciated, and we're grateful for it. So grateful you're here. I love you all. That's why we do this. Susan loves you. This is why she does what she does. It is all about love and appreciation, and take that love with you. Take that appreciation, that gratitude with you tonight and always. And feel free to join us on another episode. We'll let you know on Facebook and on emails. We have some great, great guests coming up. But remember, please go to stonehealthcenter.com to communicate directly with Susan. And you just might do what my wife and I are going to do and go out there and spend a week and dig in deep and really be transformed and in both body, mind, and spirit by working with Susan and Ryan. And I wish you all wonderful night, a wonderful week, wonderful health, a wonderful life. Remember how precious you are. You're precious to us. You're precious to the world. Remember that. And we will see you again. Take care.